Brad, you said after the game that you were disappointed in the third and longs. What did you see on video in those plays?
Yeah, they're just small execution errors, and kind of uncharacteristic of what we've been able to do. There was there was a communication, issue from the sideline, being able to get the call in. But those are things that we've got to, as a coaching staff, we've got to continue to do better at. As players in those moments, understanding football IQ, what I'm trying to get done with certain calls, they have to be aware of some things that we've talked about all week. That when you face a tempo team, sometimes that you forget about where you are on the field. You forget about what they like to do in certain target areas, and so that's where I feel like we had a letdown last week in that regard, and we'll try to get that fixed this week.
Brad, how did you think Eric did when he came in for Jacquez? What were some things you want to see him to improve on moving forward?
Yeah, I think he, and he'd probably admit he might have been a touch nervous, just coming in there in that environment. He's played in a lot of big games, but really, his first, SEC road game, other than his true freshman year, he played at Auburn a couple of snaps, but so he settled in, had a couple of run fit deals that will get cleaned up, and he knows what to do, but overall he was solid, and obviously need him to play really good football for us.
What stands out about South Carolina just on film?
First of all, it feels like I'm saying this a lot, but man, I guess the running back has been really good. And really both of them, they're sort of different styles, obviously. Lloyd is really talented. He's athletic. He's got great balance. He runs behind his pads. Physical runner, shows some juice. Does a nice job in the pass game as well. And then McDowell can come in and sort of a change of pace, and he's got some pretty significant juice to be able to turn an edge. And so no, we've got a challenge in that regard. I think the quarterback is a really good player. He can make the throws, especially on the move. I think he's one of the better cues you'll see, once he moves out of the pocket, and his arm talent to be able to throw on the run, and has thrown some really pretty balls on the move. So we've got to do a good job there. The wide receivers have done a nice job of getting open, making contested catches. They're big bodies, so we're going to have to, they got big catch radiuses, so we're going to have to do a good job with that. And they've got a good mix of tight ends, obviously. Zero's a dynamic player, so you got to understand what kind of mismatch he can create.
When offense throws to their backs as much as they do, what kind of challenges does that bring a defense?
Say that again?
When they throw, it seems like they're throwing to the backs a lot. The backs have a lot of catches.
They do. Yeah, they got, I think, 13 apiece. No, I mean, now you got to defend, essentially all five eligibles, and that takes an extra body, that maybe you can add to the quarterback, or you can add in coverage, once you have to account for them all. And then how they use them as well is, it's really smart, within their scheme, and how to get them open, almost like designing a run. They can design throws that get those guys open. We're going to have to do a good job at open field tackling, and we got to understand where they are at all times. And so, no, it does provide sort of an extra challenge, when they get out. We've got to do a good job in our pass rush this week. Obviously when the back gets out, that's one less guy in protection, and so there are going to be some one-on-one opportunities, and guys have to win it.
How is Lovett doing since he took O'Gaga's place?
Good. He's been solid. Obviously I thought that hit there to start the second drive, the first play of the second drive, when he came down and hit Judkins. I mean, that's a grown man tackle by a free safety coming downhill. You know, he's had some really nice plays, you know, fitting the box like that. You know, he did the same thing at NIU in short yardage a couple of times. He's still, you know, some of the instinctual things back there, you know, it comes with reps, and he'll get there. You know, obviously, you know, we had, you know, a guy in Yusuf back there that had just thousands of reps. So sometimes you sort of take for granted that he's seen everything. And, you know, when you start with a new guy, you know, he's got to just gain and bank those reps, and he is, and he's doing a nice job. And as long as he stays confident, you know, I'm confident in him.
But when you talk about guys who've seen things, when you have a more experienced defense, how different is that when you're in a game or at halftime and you're kind of adjusting on the fly? How different are experienced guys in terms of just being able to adapt?
Yeah, I think that's, you know, one of those situations that, and I think we've talked about in the past, is when you're an old guy and you've got all those banked reps, that when you go to make an adjustment, they understand what you're trying to get done and why you're trying to get it done. You've got something to fall back on. You've got a memory bank, you know, to pull from. Young guys don't, so they just try to do what you're being told. So the more veteran players you have, you know, the more adjustments, you know, you can make. You know, not that you know, hopefully you don't need to make a whole bunch, you know, off your game plan, because you've banked all those reps in practice, but sometimes you have to, and a lot of it's dictated by what the offense wants to do. And so, no, having those veterans is a huge aspect of that.
Yeah.
And so,
Sorry.
oh, go ahead.
You have two really good second half performances on the road against SEC teams. What do you attribute that? What are the players doing that enable them to?
They're staying poised. They're not letting things that happen early in the game rattle them. They're coming to the sideline. They know we need you know, if we've made some mistakes, let's get them corrected and play ball. And so I was really proud of the guys. You know, after that first quarter, they could have really easily been rattled and shaken. You know, the environment down there was a really good environment. You know, obviously the crowd was in it after that long touchdown run, and so they could have let their confidence get shaken. They didn't. They stayed in it. They kept fighting. Obviously Quez's interception was a big deal there at the end of the half to save points, and I think that built some more confidence. And then to get the 3 and out, you know, the first drive of the second half, and those things continue to compound and build. But it all stems from having poise, and as much as we talk about adjustments at halftime, it's just about having those experienced guys that have been in those moments and understand, hey, listen, can't get too high, can't get too low. Just stay even keeled throughout the game. When the game's over, we can see how it all played out. But we've been in games, and you know, last year comes to mind that we've come out just scorching hot, like just on fire, and then you go into halftime and you come out, and then a few things happened, and you know, we did not play good second halves. You know, what we need to continue to do is put together, you know, full games, and that's something we're still working for.
I know the defensive linemen, everything you're asking them to do doesn't necessarily show up on the stat sheet. So how do you feel like that was played?
I thought Justin Rogers may have played one of his best games since he's been here. I thought he did a really good job. You know, especially you face a tempo offense, and you know, you worry about, okay, how long and how well can those guys play, especially on you know, some long drives. And in the second half, there were two really long extended drives, and I thought Coach Stewart did a nice job of being able to get those guys subbed, you know, when we had the opportunity to subs to keep them fresh. But I thought 52 did some really nice things. I thought Dion made some really good plays, and was really proud of, you know, how he was able to just sustain throughout that entire game, no matter sort of the circumstance of pace and of weather and heat and all that stuff. So I thought those guys, played admirably.
Okay, folks, we got our 3 interviews.